Bournemouth town centre at night. It's no place for a 12-year-old on her own. But when Kaylee Jones was a child, she'd hang around here at all hours.
So we are at a car park that I used to sleep in. So I used to sleep on the stairs or here when it was shut at night. The floor's very cold and it's still got the same smell like 7 years later.
Kaylee had moved from London to a foster family on the south coast. Such a big change left her feeling isolated and alone.
When I first came into care, I didn't like being in care. So I didn't like the label, I didn't like living with a family that I didn't know. So I'd much rather be with my friends here than at home in the warm, because it wasn't my home at that point. So, and if you don't have a home, then a car park's not much worse than a house.
A church minister's son who people trusted. But the head of this police investigation uncovered a very different side to Ben Field.
Arrogant, controlling, manipulative.
He recorded his thoughts in chilling rhymes.
Benjamin's my right hand by which I'll allow you to suffer. Field is the soil and the ground I'll put you under. I'm a showman. You have no chance. You are hopeless from ulcers and regrets.
Field denies drugging her, but she told a friend he'd given her a white powder. This was reported to the authorities, putting Ben Field on the police's radar. The goings-on in Maids Morton became the focus of a major inquiry. Police scrutinised Field's photos, notebooks and phone records.
You started looking at the similarities between them in terms of the changing of the wills, mental torment and torture.
Peter was injured after a fall. Police found more disturbing evidence.
I've never dealt with anybody who has pre-planned, premeditated the kind of mental torment and abuse that these people suffered.
He used Anne's Christian faith against her, convincing her messages he wrote on a mirror were from God. Anne's bank received a call about her savings. The long wait's almost over. Bernie's doctors decide the couple's trial day out can go ahead. So what happened during the 2 months Bernie was missing? In his first interview, he reveals he spent much of his time trying to outrun his illness.
I don't remember much once I stopped taking my medication. I travelled a lot on trains. It was very confused. I found that I can make the simple statement, even though I find it difficult to make right now, that I'm ill.
It's a big step. It's another big step and another chapter. So I think we're all a bit worried about what lies ahead. I think everyone's a bit apprehensive because there's just a dare to time, really.
The tigers are taken to AAP's base in Alicante. All the animals have been rescued, some from circuses, others from the illegal trade in wild animals, a few simply abandoned pets.
You see these animals in distress, you see the animals all near to death, and then finally we find a way, we find a way to recover them, to rescue them, and to give them a good future. So for me, this is, well, a very rewarding moment.
AAP has asked zoos around Europe to rehome 5 of the tigers that were rescued in Guatemala.
This is Natasha and she is Sopa. They're 2 females.
At just after 4 a.m, the famous 5 arrive in Sandown.
The butterflies in my tummy because, yeah, it's been looking forward to it for so long. It's all a little bit surreal, to be honest, that they're actually here in person. You know, so. Antonella doesn't look like a morning person at all. Hi, guys.
The last few steps proved to be the trickiest part of the journey. Finally, the tigers step into their forever home.